In many countries, Tanzania and Kenya included, whale and dolphin watching is big business. Usually there are regulations in place to protect the animals. But as companies compete for tourists, everyone wants to get as close as possible to the action. This can be very stressful for the mammals, particularly if they are nursing young. Now, the noise of boat engines is so intrusive that it can end up driving them away. But one company in Europe is trying a different approach. Let's find out how.
Did you know that whale and dolphin watching is sometimes not as eco-friendly as it might seem? On the Canary Islands, whale and dolphin watching is a booming business. With so many companies competing for customers, some try to get as close as possible to the aquatic mammals. But the noise is very stressful for the animals. Some are hurt by ships' propellers too. On the island of Gomera, Spanish company Oceano takes a different approach. The team uses old fishing boats that aren't as loud. That allows the animals to choose how close they want to approach. The trips combine public education and research. That way, the company helps preserve these fascinating creatures for future generations.
Do you like that? If you are also doing your bit, tell us about it. Visit our website or send us a tweet. #DoingYourBit. We share your stories.
And now we move on to a real eco-pioneer. Alexander von Humboldt was a great German natural scientist and explorer in the 19th century. He was a legend in his days. Do you know him, NT?
Yes, I do. Outside of Germany, he was nearly forgotten, but he's become an international star again, recently, thanks to a fascinating new book about him by Andrea Wolf. Let's find out more.
The German natural scientist and explorer Alexander von Humboldt was a legend in his day. But outside Germany, he was nearly forgotten. Andrea Wolf wanted to change that, so she wrote a book about him. There are monuments to the 19th century adventurer all over the world. Cities and rivers have been named after him, and there is even an asteroid that bears his name. Wolf, a London-based historian, has been fascinated by Humboldt for years. Her biography of him, titled The Invention of Nature, is a bestseller that won many awards, including the Royal Society Science Book Prize.
It's almost like he can come back to us as this forgotten hero, who, the way he saw nature is very much how we are trying to tackle nature at the moment. So for example, if you think about how today scientists are trying to understand and predict the consequences of global climate change. So at that time, when you think about it, Humboldt's interdisciplinary methods, his way of seeing nature as a web of life, suddenly becomes all the more relevant.
Wolf spent 4 years working on her book, reading Humboldt's diaries and letters, exploring his childhood and his sense of being stifled by the narrowness of Prussian society. He yearned to travel and to explore the world. In 1799, he set off for Latin America, where he would spend 5 years. Andrea Wolf followed in his footsteps. She was only there for a few weeks, though. But she did have time to climb Chimborazo in Ecuador, which was considered the world's highest mountain in Humboldt's day.
When he came back from Latin America, most European scientists were talking about America, Latin America, but also North America as this degenerated continent. So everything in the new world was smaller, inferior to the old world. And Humboldt came back with a portrait of a continent that was absolutely magnificent, where everything was beautiful and large and gorgeous.
Humboldt wrote about the flora and fauna on the continent and about the different cultures and customs he encountered in Latin America. He was a vocal critic of the devastating impact of 300 years of colonization, which helped inspire liberation movements in the region. Later in life, he went to the Altai Mountains, where Russia, China, and Mongolia come together. He understood nature as an interconnected organism, making him one of the earliest environmentalists.
I found this entry in his diary when he's in Venezuela, where he gets very depressed about the deforestation there. And he writes in his diary that he sees a dark future where we might travel to other planets, and that we will take our deadly mixture of vice, ignorance, and greed with us to these planets, and that we will turn them as barren as we've already done with Earth. I mean, that, he wrote this in 1801, so that really surprised me.
Humboldt was arguably Europe's last universal genius. He was a visionary and a liberal thinker, a scientist with a passion for the arts and an openness to the world. With her book, Andrea Wulf has brought Alexander von Humboldt back to life. The Invention of Nature is a fascinating book and a fitting tribute to a long-forgotten legend.